Are you struggling to get your ex back? Are you struggling to rebuild with your husband, boyfriend, or long-term partner? Do you feel like you've tried everything but nothing seems to work? Look no further than the ABCs to Get Him Back program by me, Adrienne Everheart. I'm a feminine energy relationship expert with years of experience and a proven track record. I was in my own Get Him Back situation, and I have absolutely learned what works and what does not work. And what's better, I've tried this out with thousands of women who have had amazing results. My ABCs program gives you the absolute best chances, and it guides you through the steps to not only get your ex back, but rebuild you and create a stronger and healthier relationship with yourself, the man in your past, or the man in your future. Don't give up hope. Try the ABCs to Get Him Back program today and take that first step towards a happier future with your ex or the man you're meant to call forth.
You're listening to This Podcast is for Women, episode number 66, Getting Your Ex Back, How to Get Your Ex Back, and Should You Go to Therapy? I take a listener's question where she asks a specific question about going into therapy with a man who is now her ex that she's still kind of dating. There are some loose ends, and this is a really enlightening episode. I share a lot of tips that I talk about in my ABCs to Get Him Back program. I also discuss Femme Tools for Dating, which talks more about these steps and guidelines and blueprint roadmap. I have very specific steps and processes you can take to avoid getting your heart broken by a man. In essence, I teach you how to never let this happen to you again. You, in a way, set yourself up for a type of relationship that has no big surprises. Now, don't get me wrong, not every relationship or situation in life is foolproof, but I actually give you what is known as the absolute best chances. That stands for ABCs. And I have a lot of women I have helped in this process because after going through it myself twice, being over the age of 40, having my coaching career where I was helping so many women with the same scenario, and I have continued to do this for going on 10 years now, I really have developed a format and a way of handling a breakup, getting back together, rebuilding, having that connection, but doing it so that you don't actually end up investing more of yourself, losing more of your heart, your time and your energy, your soul and your spirit and your essence as a powerful dynamite woman, investing your time in a man where the relationship is wobbly and you're broken up and you're trying to rebuild. I help you bypass being a surrogate, getting taken advantage of, and really focus on rebuilding and, of course, having your rich, juicy, full life. So this episode is certain to be an eye-opener and a great experience for you, whether you are dealing with a breakup or going into therapy with a partner or whatever it may be. There's always some great wisdom to be shared. So I'm so excited to share this listener question episode. And by the way, if you have a question you want to ask me, all you have to do is go to the bottom of the show notes and you will see a little link where you can actually record a question and I will answer you personally. I try to do listener questions about every other week, every other episode or so. So please feel free, ask me a question.
Hi, Adrienne. I just had a question for you about feminine energy and going to therapy with your boyfriend. I'm currently broken up with my boyfriend, but we are still continuing to date one another. We were just getting ready to move in together and had a musical act that we had performed. And so I'm very heartbroken because a lot of everything has pretty much been taken away, including our 1 year anniversary vacation, etc. So I was listening to your video about, how to handle all of that right now. But he did say that he is willing to go to therapy, and we found a good Gottman trained therapist that would really be helpful. What is your view on therapy from a feminine energy perspective and me helping to find a therapist? Thanks so much, Adrienne. Appreciate it.
I really love this question. I'm given so much information about what's going on in your situation. But ultimately, your question is, how do you feel about me finding this therapist? even though we're broken up? What's the feminine energy way to do this and have therapy with someone I'm technically broken up with, but we're still dating. So it's complicated. So I want to first start off by telling anyone who's new to my podcast that I am a get 'em back expert. I have helped hundreds, thousands of women in get 'em back situations, whether that meant saving their marriage from divorce, getting remarried after divorce, and of course, breakups that happen where you still really love the person and care about them and you want to get back together with them. Now, not a week goes by that I don't hear from someone who on social media says, Adrienne, you should not be giving women false hope about getting back together with an ex. An ex is an ex for a reason. What you're doing is wrong. And if a man has treated you badly, you should shut the door and never look back. And I agree with you on so many great levels that if a guy breaks up with you, you should take that as a no and move on. Stop wasting your time. Look, I had a therapist tell me the same thing, and in fact, just wrinkle her nose at me and wag her finger at me because she said, let me get this straight. You want to be with someone who has told you they do not want to be with you. And I was like, yes, he's made a mistake. We've had a misunderstanding. There's been a miscommunication. Now, this was about the artist. And if you're not familiar with my work, I will have a link below that shares more about the artist and my breakup with him and how tumultuous it was in my life and how it really spawned my whole career and my concept, my ideas, and my beliefs on get 'em back situations. Now, lo and behold, the man who later became my husband, we also had 3 breakups. And look, I want to tell you, over the age 40, it's a very difficult game to date and become committed and get married. It's a completely different type of thing than in your 20s and even your 30s. It gets way more complicated. And I don't really want to go into all the reasons it's complicated. A breakup is still a breakup, and it is your right to want a person back. It is your right to go to bed at night and say, hey, I did everything I could. At least I tried. This isn't about judging you for wanting someone back in your life who's broken up with you, or if you have impulsively broken up with them. Look, it happens. We think that this person is just suddenly not right for us and we want them out of our life. Or maybe it's just slowly building. And then once the reality sets in, you're like, gosh, I don't know if I really made the right decision. So a breakup is so complicated. It's really no one's place to tell you that it's right or wrong to want to rekindle things and work on things with an ex. The therapist who wrinkled her nose at me and acted like I was saying the most incomprehensible sentence ever uttered by womankind before, which was, I really want to get this person back. I want to love them and have them in my life. She didn't do me any favors psychologically in helping me understand that I needed to explore this. I needed to go down the rabbit hole, but do it in a way that I wasn't going to regret immediately several years later, or I was going to lose face or have a lot of feelings that maybe I had made the wrong decision. Because there's a good chance you're going to feel that no matter what you do or don't do. So deciding that you want an ex back is a personal journey of growth and development. There were boyfriends in my life that broke up with me or I broke up with them and I never looked back, not once. That was it. I was done. I don't know why one man was so different from another man. I'm not really sure, but this is the beautiful part of it, is that there's just something in a way luring you to learn more and develop more. So I do not judge. Again, I've helped thousands of women get back together with their ex. A lot of times I get them back and then they realize, okay, now that I've won in a way, or now that I've done this, I've gotten a boost, or I've seen what I need to see from this process. I've learned, I've traveled down the rabbit hole. I don't want this guy. And I speak candidly in the ABCs to Get Him Back program that sometimes you will follow the steps that I give you. You'll reconnect with your ex and you'll realize, I actually don't want this guy back. Or I'm beginning to think that maybe I don't want him back. Other times, I will have a client or communication with someone who is desperate to make this work out. Because just as our caller mentioned, everything's changed now. We had a vacation planned for our 1-year anniversary. We were about to move in together. We have a musical act together. We've got everything going on. And now, suddenly, crickets. It's silence. There's nothing. But we're still kind of dating. So I'm going to talk about her main question, which is, how do you feel about feminine energy, getting a therapist, pursuing this? And then also, what's going on with this guy? And if you really want an ex back, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do, what to say, and what not to do and not say. That's going to give you the absolute best chances. At the end of the day, you're going to decide whether or not you want this person back in your life, or they will tell you, hey, this is just never going to happen. And thank you. My ego really appreciates it, but it's never going to happen. You're going to be able to say, well, at least I tried and I did what I believed in. So I'm going to pause for a quick break. Before I go deeper into that subject, I want to tell you a little bit more about the ABCs to Get Him Back program. This is an audio or video program where I actually had 2 different classes, lots of women, lots of Q&A, and I give you my exact formula. I lay it all out in a blueprint so you know exactly wherever you're at in this blueprint, what to do, what to say, that gives you the absolute best chances to reconnect with a man. It gets so tricky and so complicated because a man sometimes goes the other direction. He wants to break up with us, but just like in the case of the caller, he's kind of keeping her around. And you have to ask yourself, okay, why is he keeping me around? What does he need from me? So the ABCs is going to help you walk through the steps involved in getting back together with someone you love and how there are no instant relationships. This is a slow process. So if you want to know more about that program, it also comes with my VIP library that is more than 20 items of bonus material. So check that out on my website. The link is below in this podcast, or head on over to everheartcoaching.com and click the ABCs to Get Him Back program. So let's talk a little bit more about this question. The first main question is, what do you think of therapy with an ex? I think it's a wonderful idea if they're willing to have therapy with you and talk things out and figure things out. It's some hope. It is a person that is saying, I would like to talk about this more and figure out what happened, what I'm feeling, what I'm going through. It can also be a way to comfort someone's conscience. How do I know this? Because I've done it. And I've actually had a couple other clients where the guy agrees to go to therapy, or he comes up with the idea to go to therapy, and they in some way believe this lessens the blow of the breakup. So ask yourself this question: what am I hoping to achieve by going to therapy with this person? You may say, well, to get him back, to understand what happened and fix it and get him back. That's a great objective to have. But after that, if none of that works out, if you don't get them back, and let's assume you won't. And why are you there? Why are you spending your precious time there? Go into every single session with the idea of, what is happening to me right now? What am I experiencing? Where can I accept what's happening? What does acceptance sound like in my body? Because that acceptance of, I have accepted your no, you do not want to be with me, but yet here we are. I'm willing to see this through. I'm willing to see where this goes. You're getting clear on what it is you need without the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, which is, we're going to get back together. It helps to be curious. That's a great feminine energy quality to have during therapy or anything you do. And ask yourself, what would a curious woman who's completely knowing she's going to land on her feet, the universe is got my back. Everything is always working out for me. What does a curious feminine energy woman do sitting in this therapy room with my ex-boyfriend? Have some curiosity. Also ask yourself, how can I create what I want in life? Regardless of this man, how can I create what I want in my life? How can I make this into something different? How can I make it mean something different for me? So for example, I'm going to therapy because, I want to get you back. I want to have my life back, bring back my happiness. But how can I make this mean something different? So you're starting to look at this from a different perspective where you're not outcome oriented on the man. There's no laser focus on him. That curiosity where you can just explore how you feel. You might feel something different. I remember for a moment when the artist walked out on me, I felt relief. I felt this like, I don't have to take care of him anymore. But then this kind of silence, quiet, aloneness, failure feeling set in, and I didn't want to be a failure. What would the neighbors think? What would my family think? What would my girlfriends think? There's something wrong with me now because my marriage just ended. Now I dated someone and that's not even working out. Failure wasn't an option. And it's such a ridiculous frame of mind when you think about it. I would rather push through something terrible feeling that was not right for me than be curious about what was on the other side of this. Who was I on the other side of this person and this relationship? There's someone else there. Get really curious about that. Now, the last bit of advice I have about this is about empowering yourself. And I really feel like women need to have a conversation with themselves and their inner girl and their inner boy to say, what do I need to believe to feel the way I want to feel? So if I want to feel happy, secure, at home, comfortable, have this vision in mind of who I want to marry, who I want to be with, how we're going to tackle problems together as a couple, you begin to ask yourself a different question, and that is about how do I want to feel? Instead of what do I want to have, bring back my happiness, bring back my guy, you're now asking, how do I want to feel? I want to feel comfortable, relaxed, secure, content. So you can begin to envision a world where you will be feeling the way you want to feel. And you're going to be creating the steps in the world, the things you do, the things you say, the choices you make are going to be in alignment with how you want to feel. Now, this isn't necessarily like law of attraction. This is good old common sense 101 empowerment. What do I need to believe to feel the way I want to feel? What do I need to believe? No one will ever love me again. No one will ever make love to me the way this guy does. Nothing will ever feel the way that it felt with this man. So if you want to believe those things, you're going to get a certain feeling. Now I'm asking you, what do you need to believe to feel the way you want to feel? I want to feel happy. What do you need to believe to feel happy? What is it you need to experience to feel that way? So now we're working on your thoughts, and your thoughts do become your reality because you're setting out the ingredients for your life. So I've given you a lot of good questions to reflect on, and I want to jump into the next part, which is all about getting your ex back and why exes can kind of stick around and do this move I call a surrogate move, which is they kind of keep you around for company or a slow withdrawal. Slowly we're pulling apart. So we're going to do something functional like therapy. And I want you to ask yourself this: what does this man need me around for? What does he need me here for? Why is he keeping me around? Is there something he needs from you? And that could be something like, oh, there's a family function coming up and you were supposed to be my date and I don't want to tell my family. It could be this musical act. It could be rent is due. I need you around. And it may be none of these things, but I think it's a really good question to ask yourself. The other thing is you were about to move in together after being together almost a year. So if you look into Fem Tools for Dating, which is another program I have, Feminine Energy Mindset Method. I lay out a method for how a feminine energy woman can date in this world and not get screwed. Because this is exactly how it happens. You're dating, there's commitment, and now the next logical step seems like we should move in together. I say wrong. Moving in together is one of the worst things you can do, in my opinion. It might make total sense for all practical means, but there are conversations that you want to be having before you talk about moving in together. And one of those is, I want to be a wife one day. I'm curious where you see us going. And you're able to have a conversation about marriage, if you want children, if you're going to merge your families, things like this. Because otherwise, when I move you in with me, and I'm speaking from the vantage point of a man, when I move you in with me, okay, now I'm getting the sex for free. I got the girlfriend for free. She's helping me pay the rent. I've got my best friend around. And anytime I need to, I can get rid of her. Now you might say, well, wait a minute, Adrienne, when you're married, you can kind of do the same thing. I understand that. It's just a lot easier to do this while you're dating, to move you in and get you right back out when things aren't feeling right, or he's met someone else that has temporarily lit him up and you are suddenly not so attractive to him. I get the strangest feeling that a little bit of this is what's going on with this guy, because I didn't hear one problem happening. I didn't hear like, oh, we kept arguing about such and such. Oh, he started pulling away and I had been micromanaging him for the past 6 weeks. Okay, so maybe there was more you needed to share. But so often a man you'll start moving towards that long-term commitment, and then they start to fade away on us. And this is why Fem Tools for Dating is definitely a must-have for a feminine energy woman, because you're going to be having these conversations way, way before now, and maybe you did, but instead of moving in together, it's like, well, I don't really move in with someone until I'm engaged. You have something real that's happening. So now he has to ask you to marry him. Now he has to go buy a ring. Now you have to come out to all your friends and family. We're engaged. So now it's something different than just like, hey, sign my lease with me. You see, it's a different level of commitment. So I think a woman should remain independent and have that man miss her and want her to have her in his life. Have him come over to your house as much as possible when he is not taking you out on a date. If you've got a roommate, if you live with your mother, if your kids are there, he has to be uncomfortable at your place in order to build and create you a much better life. Going more into Fem Tools for Dating right now, I really want to refocus back on the ABCs to get him back. But for those of you that are ready to learn more, again, I have my programs on my website. I have it so you can get all of my programs for one low price and save yourself some money. Learn everything I have to teach you about this. I'm a little curious if this man has developed some doubt, because possibly there might be a grass is greener type of situation. And my advice to you about this is go to therapy for you. Lean way back on the dating. I do not recommend dating him and being available as if that is going to be what calls him back to you, because a man has to miss you. He has to miss you. It takes anywhere from 8 or 9 weeks of missing you to, I believe, 3 months for a man to realize, oh my God, I have lost her. I am not getting her back. What have I done? Because until then, they'll say things like, well, it was beautiful and we had a wonderful thing, but it wasn't meant to be and we didn't make it and it's probably for the best. And he'll have all these really bad cliches that basically say, I have made the right decision and we're not together and that's just fine. So you have to kind of ride through that period with a man, but not let him so much have access to you, because he's not able to miss you. He sees you and he goes, yeah, there's the same old face I walked away from. He's not able to say, oh my gosh, look at her. She got new highlights. She's so beautiful. he has to pine for you and miss you and want you back in his life. So if a man has broken up with you, the vacation is over, the musical act, I don't know what's going to happen to that, but it sounds like a fabulous little hobby and thing to have with a man. Just so many things have changed and ended. I really wouldn't give this man the satisfaction of still dating me. You do need to rebuild somehow and at some point, but I would give a little more time to let him miss you. So instead of saying something like, don't talk to me for the next 30 days, I need time for myself, before you have some boundary and some time commitment, don't say anything about it at all. Just when he calls you up and says, hey, I was thinking we could go check out this movie or we could watch this show. Say, that sounds really amazing, but I just don't know how I feel. I'm just not sure how I feel about this. And he'll say, well, what? What's going on? Well, why? Well, we're broken up and I have a lot of feelings for you and I just don't know. I don't know how I feel. It's perfectly okay to tell a man, I just don't know how I feel right now. So you can still see him in therapy. You can have these sort of experiences with him. If he text messages you, for every 2 text messages he sends you, reply with half a text message. Everything you say to him, everything you respond to him, keep it on point. Stay on topic. Keep it very brief. And be friendly, be warm, as I call it, but don't give him more of you. Now, women will always say, Adrienne, I'm afraid my guy will think I'm being cold. I don't want to be cold. He won't want me back if I'm cold. Well, you can address that. You can tell him, I don't want to appear cold. I still have a lot of feelings for you, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm helping myself here. I know I need to heal. And he says, well, how else can we work things out? How can we figure things out? Oh, that's a great question for a man to ask, because there are no instant relationships. And I think at some point, if you can pepper that in with a man and let him know, look, I'm not asking for anything from you. I'm not asking you to do anything or give me anything or be anyone to me. I'm not asking you to do anything for me. You're letting him off the hook. He goes, woo. So I don't have to function as her boyfriend right now. I don't have to be in an instant relationship with her. We're just not like going to go, yeah, let's get back together. It's not going to be that way because there are no instant relationships. And that relationship is dead and gone. Rest in peace. That old relationship, it was not working. There was something wrong. It is over and farewell. That is a relationship that didn't work. Let it go. The next relationship you have with him will be something different. It will be much different. I will tell you that after every breakup with Jeff, my relationship with him was different each time. And the beautiful, wonderful things that I loved in the previous relationship, sometimes they were gone for good. They would morph, they would change, they would become something different. And it was really sad sometimes because I thought we would get back together and we would go back to just the way it was. It won't really be the same again. It will be different. You're wiser. Things have happened. And there really is no going back. But there is a new relationship. So if a man wonders, well, how can we work this out? You let him know, I'm not looking for an instant relationship. I'm not asking you to do anything for me. This feels difficult for me too. This feels confusing. One minute, I feel really happy to spend time with you. Another minute, I don't know what I'm feeling. I feel like I already miss you, but you're sitting right in front of me. I don't know what I'm feeling. You can reconnect, but reconnect slowly. You set the pacing. So if you say to him, let's reconnect, but let's work on this, but let's just do it on Mondays and Fridays. Here's my schedule. That's your boy coming out and saying, here's the calendar of events we're going to do to rebuild our relationship. I want you to leave it up to the man. And say, it feels good to reach out to you. And if I want to do something, that sounds great. And you can just be open and be flexible. But if you take him up every time he wants to go out with you, then he's not really able to meet you. Now, if a guy is continually sniffing around, which is what happened with Jeff and I, we were broken up. It was almost 3 months or so. And he kept kind of asking me for lunches and finding excuses to want to see me. And I finally said to him, I said, this is wonderful, but I've accepted your no. I've moved on with my life. I've always been your friend. I can't be just your friend. I was very clear about this. And he kept kind of asking me out on what seemed like dates, even though he was always like, oh, we're friends. We might as well know what, who each other's dating at this point. I was like, yeah, I wasn't going to do that. So a guy kind of comes to you with these excuses to rebuild with you slowly, and you'll be really confused. Like, what are these? That is where you can go out with him a couple of times, but then say, the past few weeks have felt wonderful. It's felt so good reconnecting, but I'm curious, where are we going? And if he were to happen to say, wait a minute, I thought you said I don't owe you anything and no instant relationships, things like this. Oh, well, it's just felt so wonderful the past few weeks. I've felt so wonderful seeing you and reconnecting. I'm just really curious. I mean, where's all this going? You might at that point experience your next breakup. And this is the most important breakup you'll have. I have had so many women write me and go, Adrienne, I had that conversation with him and it has been 3 weeks and I have heard nothing. And I'm like, keep waiting. It's coming. Because this is when he reaches the end of the road. And he says, okay, I broke up with her. Okay, we started seeing each other again. Okay, now she's right back to asking me, where does she see us going? You see, we're right back where we started, but in a different way. So Jeff knew if he came back into my life, I wanted to be a wife. So when he showed back up, I was like, well, it's great to see you. This is amazing. I was not quick to sleep with him. In fact, it took a very long time for us to sleep together again. I had to feel safe. I did not want to be his ready girl. I did not want to hop right in the sack with him and give him what he wanted, even though I wanted to, but I didn't, because I was like, my heart has been crushed under the heel of this man. I'm going to take it really slow. And also, you're back, Jeff. It's great to see you, but I want to be a wife. And he said, listen, I didn't think I would be saying this, but I've thought about it and I want you in my life, whatever that means, however it shows up. And I was like, marriage, ring, everything? He goes, yeah, everything. And at that moment, I remember feeling like I was just floating out of my chair. And I was just looking at him, like trying to detect any sort of signal that would say he was lying. And he just kept coming around and just totally consistent, sticking through the hard moments. If we had a little blip or an argument or he reacted strongly, I would say, I'm just afraid you're just going to break up with me again. You're just going to end things again when you get upset or mad or you can't problem solve or whatever it may be. And he would really break down and I would see him becoming a better man. And he would say, no, I want to work this out. I want to figure this out. I do too. And then we would reconnect. So you really do have to let a guy reach the end of the road with you. So just a quick recap. I think the therapy idea is great. Go at it with what is it going to do for you? How is it going to benefit you? Be curious, empower yourself through the whole process, and also have acceptance about it. Accept that the relationship is over and that if therapy is going to work or benefit you in the relationship, it's going to be a new relationship. So have that attitude of acceptance, empower yourself, always working on what's the best version of you going to do. What do I need to believe to feel what I want to feel? The worst things we can say to ourselves is, no one's ever going to love me again. It's too late for me. I'm too old. I keep meeting terrible men. Please, please, please stop saying these things to yourself. You have to find out what it is you're going to start thinking that's going to lead you to feeling what it is you want to feel. I want you to also ask yourself, if an ex is keeping you around, am I being a surrogate? Am I just tiptoeing away so he is comfortable? Meanwhile, back at the ranch, I think we're working things out. I feel like we're getting back together. No, he's slowly pulling away and being comforted and not having to feel the loneliness of losing you abruptly. So tap the brakes on still dating him. Make sure you are also starting to date other people if you can. I know a lot of this might be new. You might have to thaw out a little bit. You're in the process of picking up the pieces of your life. Like you said, everything is gone. The vacation is gone. The musical act, what's going to come of that? We were just about to move in together. This is a lot to go through. To have someone say, please come hang out with me in therapy. Will you still kind of date me once in a while? You've just had your whole world uprooted. So I would tap the brakes on the dating. I would definitely look into the ABCs to Getting Back program and check out Fem Tools for Dating. By the way, not to sound too salesy, but once you get both those programs for a little bit more, you can have all of my programs, my complete library. So check that out in my website, everheartcoaching.com. Now, the final tip I want to leave you all with, and this is the most important part, is to have the total transparency talk. The total transparency talk is lay it on me. I can handle it. Whatever it is, I want you to tell me the truth. Is there someone else? A lot of you will probably say, I know there's no one else. I know him. There's no one else. I want you to ask him. And statistics have shown that if you ask a person to tell you the truth, most of the time you will have, I think it's about a 40% increase in telling the truth. So go for it. And I like to also say, lay it on me. I want total honesty, total transparency. I don't want to ever have dishonesty between us. Lay it on me. Is there someone else? I can handle the truth. I want you to tell me the truth. Is there someone else? Super important to ask because, again, you're not here for his conscience. You're not here for him to feel better about the decision he's making. All right. The ABCs, the absolute best chances to get him back from, the outside. It can be very complicated to get back together with an ex because there are so many possibly maybe scenarios that can happen, but I go over them in my program. I have a roadmap and I have lots of tools in the VIP library to support you. Now, if you want to go even one step further beyond that, I've got something you're going to love. And that's my online support group. I'm in there twice a week answering your questions personally. You can be totally anonymous. It's private. It's secure. It's on a private app. I also teach classes. And I have 5 other coaches that teach classes. And during the class, you can ask questions, you can talk to me, and you can talk to the other coaches when they're teaching their classes. Plus, you have a whole library of all the previous classes. So you can binge those classes and learn everything you can about feminine energy, dating, marriage, reconnection, inner girl, inner boy, you name it, we cover it. Empowerment's a big one that we're really trying to cover going into the rest of this year is how to rebuild yourself, how to feel good about yourself, no matter what you're going through, how to avoid having that laser focus on a man. So all of that is in the link below. I've got iHeart Love Academy, my private online community. You can join us for a year or join us by the month, whatever you want to do. I would love to see you. Make sure you tell me you heard about it in this podcast episode. And that's pretty much it for this episode. I love the question. Keep the questions coming. Again, links below. Ask a question. If this episode has helped you, be sure to share it with a girlfriend, share it with someone you care about, and take a moment, leave me a review in Google Podcasts or Spotify. You can leave me some stars or write a quick review. I love hearing from you. All right, Diamond Girls. Until next time.
Hi, this is Adrienne Everheart, and I'm curious. Are you ready to attract a loving partner and create your very own happily ever after? Maybe you've seen my growing list of testimonials on my Instagram page, or somehow you've been drawn to my work with feminine energy. I've helped a lot of women find true love, get engaged, married, and some even remarried. I want to help do the same wonderful thing in your life. I want to share Fem Tools for Dating. It's a program on my website and it's waiting for you. You see, dating can feel really difficult, and I teach you how to go from feeling invisible and intimidated online to creating connection with men and calling forth quality men into your life. Step by step, I guide you from the very first hello to happily ever after. I teach you so many feminine energy tools along the way and so much more. Now, if you want a coach that gets results and has methods that have helped women all over the world, Fem Tools is available when you need it. So head on over to my website. That's Everheart Coaching, EVERHART HEART coaching, and look for FEM. That stands for Feminine Energy Mindset Method. Trust me, ladies, this very affordable program does not disappoint.